So today I'm taking on a tour of my school bus tiny home. For those of you who have followed along for some time, you might already know that this school bus has undergone quite a few renovations over the years as our needs changed. We've been here for 7 years now. As our needs changed through the years, the space changed to reflect that. However, the biggest change came when we permanently parked here in Missouri and we added some outdoor spaces and we remodeled the entire space because once we weren't traveling, there were certain obligatory features of the bus that we were able to kind of do away with. And I haven't done a tour since we've been here, a full tour. I've done a few like video walkthroughs on the shorter form social media platforms, but it's very difficult to appreciate all of the nuance of how cool this bus is in a 90-second tour. So today we're fixing that, and we are going to do, I filmed the entire thing, every nook and cranny, and we're gonna break it down so you get the full tour. I'm lying, it's not a full tour. So I filmed this in February? What month are we in? I filmed this in February. And so the outdoor spaces, the outdoor living area and the greenhouse bathroom that we added on, we don't really use in January and February. When I fill the bathroom with plants again, when the greenhouse is filled up and we're actually using those spaces again, I will amend this tour and I will add those outdoor spaces onto the tour so that you get the full tour. Although you can go to the social media channels on Instagram and Facebook and see the short form walkthroughs where those spaces are added onto the end. Moving on. So when you walk in the front door, it's immediately mudroom vibes. We have hooks for coats, and I'm like looking at it while I'm doing this so that I can remember as if I haven't lived here for 7 years and know what's there off the top of my head. Oh, Tawny. Anyway, so there are hooks for coats. There's a little cubby for like shoes. We've got a few baskets for, you know, purse, hats, gloves, sunglasses. When you live in a tiny space, you have to consider the clutter and you have to manage the clutter, or else it very quickly gets the best of you. And so that front space is basically designed so that anything I'm walking in the door with immediately gets dropped there so that it doesn't migrate and make its way through the rest of the bus. And there is a bookshelf there because, fun fact, every single remodel I've ever done on this bus has been with at least some small aim of putting another bookshelf in, because I have a problem. Books are my friends, I cannot quit collecting them. So the most recent bookshelf addition is that one in the front window, and that covers one of the front windows. The other front window is covered by a very cool bird feeder feature, where there are 4 different feeders in the window. Where the driver's seat used to be is now an office. So I spent a lot of time in that seat for the first 5 years while we were traveling full time because I was the sole driver of the bus. Even though my husband and I traveled together, he actually worked, and so I was the driver. And now there is a bird feeder over that front window, and so while I sit there and type at my laptop, I get a different kind of view out that window now. And it's actually probably my favorite spot in the bus. I spend a lot of time still in that seat, editing, writing. That is where my book is being written currently in large portions, so that little office slash driver's seat is probably still my favorite room of the bus. So once you get past the mudroom and the office, aka the first 3 feet of the bus, you enter the living room, which is actually quite large for a living space as Skoolie rooms go. So there's a 7-foot couch on one side, and then a entertainment slash herbal apothecary slash bookshelf situation that takes up the entire other side. When we were traveling, these shelves were mostly cupboards. This one was open, but everything over here was cupboards because when you're traveling, lots of things will fall. So cupboards were the more practical solution for keeping everything stored away. But when we parked, I no longer needed to consider that. So I removed the cupboards off of most of the bookshelves so that the contents and what I store behind them, herbs mostly, was more easily accessible. There's a lot of storage in kind of nooks and crannies of this bus. So like under the couch there are bins, behind me in the shelving there's bins. You'll see a lot of bins and baskets because they're a very quick, easily accessible way to have additional storage and spaces without having to build it in. So directly behind the living room, oh my goodness, the biggest woodpecker I've ever seen is at my bird feeder right now. Hi. Hi. Be nice. Just because you're big doesn't mean you have to be a bully. Oh my goodness, they're constantly. Tawny, focus. So behind the living room, the next room you walk into is the kitchen. I actually recently had a comment on social media telling me that my kitchen was too big and it wasted space. But I disagree. I love my kitchen. I spend a lot of time in it. I love to bake, I love to cook, and I love to kind of just like concoct. Like I'm a fermenter, so like kombucha and kefir and yogurt, and I do a lot of like cultured and fermented foods. So having a large kitchen space and a lot of counter space was kind of a big deal to me. So on one side of the kitchen, there is a 10-foot long counter that has tons of cupboards and drawers and open shelving underneath. There's also a long open shelf that runs across almost the entire length of it where I keep random herbs and teas. On that side, there is an RV propane stove and a full-size farmhouse sink. That was one of the more recent remodels that we did. We used to have an L-shaped counter in there, which when we traveled gave us like an eating bar, but we found we didn't really use it that much and we wanted to open that space up, and so we dropped the L and pushed the counter back and gave ourselves one very long wide counter instead, and that has worked out so much better. Especially it kind of like removed the pinch point that we used to have there by the stove. Not that it ever really bothered us, but like once it opened up, it was like a whole new world for me cooking. On the other side is a full-size apartment fridge, which we upgraded. We used to have like a smaller RV fridge, and last year, or the year before that, it was like a year and a half after we had arrived here, that fridge kind of went kaput, and so we remodeled the space so that we could actually have a full-size fridge in there. And then behind that, there's another kind of like open shelf pantry area where there's like our dry goods stuff. In the winter, that's where our wood storage goes. There's some more bins and boxes, but it's nice to just have a place like my flour grinder goes there. Like it's nice to just have the quickly accessible things to pull in and out. Our wood stove is one of the main features of our bus. When we started traveling, we wanted a heat source that wasn't entirely dependent upon our solar system, just in case because we did spend winters in Montana, and we knew that we would need a backup heat source. And we did spend the first 4 winters in this bus in Montana. This bus has been in -50. It was only 50 degrees in here, but I remember thinking how like grateful I was that we were literally 100 degrees warmer than outside. So fun fact. So the wood stove is a Yodel 602B, and it has like hands down been probably the best thing we ever bought for the bus. I cannot explain to you how ridiculously cozy it is in here in the winter when that little wood stove is going and you're sitting here with a hot cup of coffee. Like it's heaven. It is heaven. The wood stove is also right beside the side door, so that when we go to like load and like when we're cleaning out the stove and then when we're loading wood into the bus, the wood is kept in a storage bay right underneath of that door. So it makes it really easy to pop under, grab wood, and throw it in the side door. Behind the wood stove is the bedroom bathroom area. Now, when we were traveling, we had an actual bathroom with a shower and a sink and toilet that was self-contained, and then the bedroom was behind it. But once we moved here, we decided we wanted an outdoor bathroom, and we really wanted to reclaim a lot of that space, and we didn't necessarily feel like we needed a shower in here. So we removed that wall and we opened up the entire back end so that the toilet and the sink remain. But we removed the shower and we instead built the very large outdoor greenhouse bathroom, which is probably the coolest idea I've ever had. Hands down, best thing we've added. So in the bathroom, there is a sink and a composting toilet, because we are still off-grid here. So where the shower used to be, there is now a full-size closet, which was a huge luxury because for the 5 years we traveled, we only had bins. We didn't really have any like dedicated hang up. We had some like pegs that we could hang things on, but having a full-size closet that I can actually put something on a hanger and hang up, such a luxury. And then on the other side of that, there's some space for like our dirty laundry. The bins under the bed stayed where they were. And then we closed off the back. So when we were traveling, that back window, that very large back window, was a window seat. And I used to spend a lot of time sitting there when we traveled because we pull into a beautiful location and it was the perfect place to like sit in the evening with my cup of tea and enjoy watching the sun go down. But once we parked here, I found I wasn't really using it because I was spending a lot more time outside of the bus, in the outdoor space we had created, it sitting in the hammock. I just wasn't really spending as much time there. But I did find that I was in need of yet another bookshelf. So we closed off the back window and we turned the bed so that we could build in yet another bookshelf in the back. So beside our bed now. And I love what it did for the space. Like, as much as I loved that window seat, having the bed turned the other way so that when I wake up, what I'm looking out is this huge long bank of windows. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. So that was a really good remodel. Also, I get some questions on social media about the purpose of the logs in the bedroom. There is no purpose. I just loved them. There was a sycamore tree that fell shortly after we got here with a huge crash not too far from the bus. And I don't know if you know this, but sycamore wood is so beautiful. Like the gnarls and the way that it curves and the colors. And so as we were taking that giant tree apart for firewood, I saved a few of the limbs that I thought were especially beautiful. And I just incorporated them in the bedroom. Like, they have no purpose except that I love them. That is their purpose. It's just to let me love them. Actually, if I'm honest, the one log does very often function as a place for me to drape my overalls at the end of the day. So it has a function besides joy. So that is my home. If you have any questions on anything you saw, feel free to drop them below, as always. Like I said, in the spring, once I fill up the greenhouse bathroom with plants and we're using that outdoor space again, I will film those areas and amend. I'll either make an additional tour or amend this video. I probably won't amend this video. I didn't think this all the way through, clearly. I'll do something. At some point I'll show those outdoor spaces that I missed on this tour. But that is the full tour of the interior of this school bus that we named Oliver. Thanks for coming along. If you have any questions, drop them below. I don't know if I'm a very good tour guide. This is why I can't do lives. Like, this is why I couldn't do a live. Because I would say something that just should not be said. In the front